Welcome, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mad Dog Mike Noddy here this fine Monday morning. Thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you had a great Mother's Day yesterday. Whether you're a mother or not, I hope you had a good Mother's Day. We did at our house. My wife, of course, was there. My lovely wife, Rosemary. My daughter, Marie, who is the mother of my 3 grandchildren, and her husband, Ted. It was a good day. I hope that yours was as pleasurable as I was. But look, I have got a show for you today. I've been waiting for this one for a while. This is a good one. But I want you to stick around because you're going to love this one. Street Talk and Other Stuff. You stick around. We will be right back.
Right now at Les Schwab Tires, it's the Best for Less sales event. Save up to $120 instantly on a set of 4 tires. Choose from a wide selection of our longest-lasting, best-performing tires, and every tire is covered by America's best tire warranty. With a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. It's our best deal on our best tires with the best service in the business. Get more from less.
Central Washington Water is home to the Hot Spring Spa for over 45 years. Come see the Freshwater Smart IQ. It monitors your saltwater spa's pH balance, chlorine, and more. Or the cold plunge tub that will leave you feeling rejuvenated. Plug-and-play spas make hot tubbing easy. With great financing available, cold water, salt water, hot water, Central Washington Water has a spa for your budget and your lifestyle. Stop by today.
Great glorious spring, Wenatchee Valley. Collins Fashions is your go-to lady shopping experience in downtown Wenatchee. Special occasion dresses are arriving daily for moms, grandmothers, and friends and family. Sundresses, capris, tees, tanks, shorts, skirts hit the floor. Trusted quality brands such as Tribal, Charlie B, French Dressing Cut, and Liverpool. Comfy and cute sandals from Soft, Bueno, Volatile, Fly London, to name a few. Brighten Mother's Day with a gift from Collins in downtown Wenatchee.
It's the NCWLIFE Community Calendar, brought to you by the Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center. Opening day for the Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market is Saturday, May 10th. Pick up your fresh, locally grown produce at the Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market every Saturday from 8 to 1. Early season favorites like asparagus, peas, radishes, potatoes, rhubarb, green beans, kale, plus starter plants, original arts and crafts, soaps, candles, plants, and lots of goodies to snack on.
Okay, thanks for coming back, Street Talk and Other Stuff, and I am very happy to introduce 2 of the greatest people in town, my greatest friend, TJ Farrell. TJ, I love you.
Always good to see you.
Matthew Pippin, I'd hug you too, but you're too far away.
I'll hug him for you. There we go. There we go.
Okay, Matthew and TJ, okay, people that are big in the arts community, particularly the performing arts. That's how I know them both, actually, though Matthew's dad, Terry, and I worked on the Wenatchee Police Department for quite some time, and that's actually how I met Matthew and your other siblings.
Yeah.
So very happy to say now that you and I are friends. Okay.
Because you started at the department in what?
Late
84?
1986.
86.
Okay.
Oh,
Matter of fact, yeah, I got out of the police academy in I think February 1987, and.
So I was 4 when you started there. That's where I got that.
Yeah, but your father was a good mentor for me. Excellent police officer. So.
He still is. He just, you know. He will be until it's done, I think.
Yeah, well, it's part of our identity. We can't help it. I keep saying we, even though I've been retired for almost 19 years. But okay, but hey, this is not about me. It's about you guys. So let's not be misogynist.
Okay.
Let's go first with Matthew.
Okay.
Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know.
Well, my name's Matthew Pippin. I was born here in Wenatchee. I do theater enough to be as annoying as back hair. And then started dipping my toes into the world of author, book writing, and what have you. And that's as boring as I can make all that sound.
And you just work backstage at the recent Music Theater Wenatchee show.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in paying your dues, you know, when you have to. And because the ham of me wants to be on stage, but
You're making me feel guilty. Okay.
not for everybody, but just for myself.
I used to do a lot of backstage for the high school stuff, but
So you paid your dues too.
but the other thing is this: I am just inept. You know, I mean, you do not want me doing anything technical. I promise. Okay. TJ.
Oh, my name's TJ Farrell, and I've lived in Wenatchee almost 30 years now. And I know Matthew through the theater. We got introduced during Follies 2013, I think it was.
Yes. Okay.
And so we've been theater friends and outside of theater friends, and just he's a great person to pal around with. He's just really kind of easy to just do stuff with, whatever it is. Having a coffee, picking up your dry cleaning, going to Cuba.
Yeah, little things like that.
He's your guy. So yeah, and he also introduced me to the authors the illustrators that did the covers of his books and the illustrations in mine. So.
Okay. All right. Well, it's nice to have you both. Okay.
And it's just
be here.
All right. So the reason I asked you to come on is that both of you. Well, you tell us why I asked you to come on.
Well, a while back. So you should probably start with how you met these.
Okay.
gentlemen.
Well, I will mention this. I have had both TJ and Matthew on before to talk about the books that they've written, and we're going to show you pictures of them in a minute. TJ's also come on because she is a kitty foster
Yes,
mom.
I foster kittens. I have some kittens right now. You want one?
No, thank you. Okay, and Matthew I've had on a number of times because he is one of the premier performers in our community. Okay. Enough from me.
Okay, premier or prima donna? That's
Either one.
No,
Either one.
Almir Mester Leon, I met through Instagram.
Okay.
And I had started trying to make this as short as possible. When we did the full Monty, I got into posing for people to prepare to do it on stage, basically.
Naked.
Yeah. And so I posed at Radar Station, which led to people that had posted pictures of that to a guy named Jim in
Sorry, I missed that.
in Philadelphia, and or Pennsylvania rather, and then through him, Almir, and I connected that way through art. And for 5 years, and he helped keep me sane during the pandemic because he'd send me ideas, and then I would try to pose, and then he'd create these beautiful artworks. And anyway, so when I was down visiting Mother and Dad, I found my first book, 9 Strangers.
That's right. You had written that some time ago.
Yeah, I wrote it when I was still living in New York. And but I found the 2 notebooks, and I knew that if I sent this picture to Almir saying I found it, that I'm going to have to do something about it. And I did.
All right.
And so then he created my beautiful snowflake for me that I also now have on my arm.
Yeah, I noticed that tat.
And then because of his questions and not leaving well enough alone, that's how the green suitcase came about, which is also...
There was a plot point he needed wrapped up.
And that he just couldn't, because I'm very content with, that was a fun story. I don't have to know what happened to that, but...
Right, and this gentleman has become, or was your illustrator.
Yeah,
correct?
and he still is, yeah. And and then he's got his twin brother, Aram.
Okay.
And they're both artists, and they're just wonderful, darling people. And he's become one of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life. Everybody should have an Almir.
Yes.
You like him more than you like me. Okay,
but makes the heart grow fonder.
That's true. But actually, this was just kind of online, or
Yeah, it was all over online. I mean, we talk on Instagram or WhatsApp. Okay. Because he lives in Las Tunas, Cuba, and it was very. But even though we're 2 countries apart, although Cuba's only separated by 90 miles of water,
right?
From Havana to Miami,
and the 3,000 miles between us and Florida.
Yeah, and the 3. But it's I love that art can connect people like that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, your connection with these gentlemen.
So then, when I finished my book of dog poems, I was like, well, I want to get it published. Oh, thank you. It's called The Alphabet, and I want to get it published. But it needs illustrations because just a book of poems is not going to appeal to kids, and the poetry is kind of geared to entertain kids. And so I asked Matthew, "Do you think that you think Almir would want to illustrate this?" And he's like, "Well, here's his email address." And Almir came back with, "Well, can I share this job with my twin brother?" And I was like, sure, as long as the illustration styles are similar enough that we can't tell two different people did it, and they absolutely did. They absolutely turned it out. Some really gorgeous full-page spread illustrations to go along with the poems. I'm not doing a very good job of this, but they do. It always wants to open up to the L poem. That must be because it's in the middle. But yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, they are beautiful pictures.
And very fast. And so we got all done with this and got the book published, and everybody was happy. And one day Matthew and I were walking somewhere.
Yeah, because this wouldn't have happened really without her. Because my pipe dream. God, I'd love to go to Cuba.
Okay, well, let's hang on. Hold that thought for 1 second.
I'll hold it.
And okay, yeah, please. Could you put up the picture that I sent you about the pictures of the book so people can see them again? Where are these books available? Because actually, I told one of my clients about this, and he has young children. He actually bought a copy.
They're available a couple of places.
Do I get to dip my beak? Do I get my taste?
You want an agent's fee? Is that what you're saying? So they're available two places here locally in Wenatchee. One is at Ye Old Bookshop, and the other one is at the Museum Gift Shop. So the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center keeps copies on hand for both.
And same for mine.
Okay.
And if you are seeing this from out of the area, or you just don't get into Wenatchee all that often, and you're dying to read some good books, they're also available on Amazon.
Okay, I was just going to say if Amazon sold them.
Yeah.
And they're good. They're really good. Okay, I was very moved. You know, I've tried my hand a little bit of writing myself, and I don't quite measure up.
Well, I know you like a good limerick, so there was probably something in there
Yes, there
for
are.
you.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're walking along the street, going to coffee or something. And
I just said I'm wanting to go and see and meet Elmire, and
I got to get to Cuba.
And I got to get to Cuba, and she.
I just turned to him and I said, "Can I go with you?"
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought he was like already planning the trip. So I'm like, "Can I go with you?" And then it was like, "Yeah, let's do this." So we did it. We went.
And it was a root hog or die kind of thing, and we rooted.
Yeah,
it was so much fun.
We got our passport. Well, I had to get my passport updated because you have to have a passport that's good for at least 6 months after your planned return date.
Really, why is that?
I think it's because in case something goes wrong and you.
That's 100% what it is. But I just found out that it is in case something was to happen catastrophically, that you would still have something valid.
Oh,
that hopefully
you mean
will be solved.
if you got stuck
like
in
a
Cuba,
hurricane and you can't fly out for a week,
or a revolution,
and you
or
have
an
to go into
American
hiding.
invasion,
or a pandemic.
I see.
Then you still have a legitimate visa for 6 months after that.
All right, that makes sense.
So I had to get mine renewed, and you have to get a special visa for it.
Okay.
Which is not difficult to do. I think it's cost $85, and
it was so much easier to get there than you'd think. Because from everything you hear about, you got to do this, and this, and
now,
it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be.
Did you have to send your passport to like the Cuban consulate or something? Really? No. Okay. Because going to India, I had to do that. Yeah. I had to actually send my passport off to them, and
they do like to see that you have an itinerary that is. That shows, well, there's a list of reasons why you can visit Cuba, and they include things like business and cultural exchange, and journalism, and humanitarian relief. I mean, there's a list, and the very last one says for the benefit of the Cuban people.
Okay, so what lie did you tell the people?
Well, that covers all kinds of tourism for the benefit of the Cuban people. But in order to comply with that, you don't stay at the government-run resorts, which are the big hotels, the compounds where you kind of like stay in for most of the time with the occasional day trip out to something.
Okay.
So you go to mom and pop place, you stay at a bed and breakfast, you shop at the local stores, you attend. Things that are actually done by the Cuban people as opposed to the Cuban people's government.
Okay, so you were actually going to be contributing financially by going through the mom and pop stores.
Exactly.
When you could, there were some places, you'd try to like pay or tip or anything, and they wouldn't take it, and it's like, how can we be supportive of the Cuban people?
We went through one of the museums, and it was honoring one of the generals of one of their revolutions.
Sure.
And beautiful blue building. If you Google Las Tunas, I want to say New Mexico, Las Tunas, Cuba. I don't know why. The splash page will almost certainly contain the blue consulate building.
Okay. All right.
So we went there, and it's been turned into a museum. And a very nice lady who didn't speak any English sort of ushered us from room to room. I mean, I think if we had spoken Spanish, we could have asked her a bunch of questions.
Ben aquí, por favor.
Yeah, she didn't say anything. She just very politely stood there while we looked at a lot of things that we didn't know the translations of. It was really pretty cool.
All right.
And we get all done, and we say, we're used to, I don't care if, like, the Carnegie Foundation is supporting this museum. They're still going to charge you admission, and they have a donation box, right? In America. That's how we do it in America. So we said, can we make a donation to the museum? Because they hadn't charged us admission to go in. And they're like, no.
And sometimes you even tip your guide.
And we ended up doing that because they did not have any idea of that someone would want to make a donation for the support of the museum.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and we ran into that at another place.
Well, if you go to Wikipedia and you see the Las Tunas picture, and there's the blue building, the building that would be to the left of it is their biblioteca there, where our books are. And when we tried to donate
to the library.
They were almost offended,
Really?
because it's funded by the state.
Yeah.
Why would we?
Well, there's some places in Europe that's true too, because we're so heavily involved in tipping in this country and other places in Europe. Why are you tipping?
They'll put it on the bill.
Yeah.
It'll be part of the bill. But we tried to give them money, and they were like, no.
Okay, all right. Well, let's pause for a second. But hey, we got to take a break. Let's talk with Matthew Pippin and T.J. Farrell, two local authors who had their books illustrated by a pair of twin brothers in Cuba who recently visited there. We're going to talk more about that in a minute, but we need to take a break. So, Street Talk and other stuff, you stick around. I know you will. We will be right back.
Tour Moses Lake just a gas tank away. With its abundance of outdoor activities, Moses Lake is a great place to visit. From fishing and boating to exploring the city's attractions, there is no shortage of things to do. Whether you're enjoying any one of the variety of restaurants with the family or an adventure-filled day with friends, Moses Lake has something for everyone. Tour moseslake.com and start your adventure today.
Celebrate this great country during Rockfest in Rock Island the last Saturday in June. Great music, great bands, great fun. It all happens at the Rock Island Golf Course. Mark your calendars and be prepared for family fun entertainment and live music until the fireworks start crackling. Contact info@rlstalent.com if you would like to help sponsor this event or bring your awesome food truck. Space is limited. Rockfest at the Rock Island Golf Course, June 28th.
At Abby's, Toppings to the Edge is a promise we've kept for 60 years and counting. We load our pizzas with fresh ingredients, quality meats, and real cheese, so every bite is legendary. If you can find a better pizza, buy it. Abby's, you just can't top it. Right now, every day is Taco Tuesday at Abby's. Our Taco Especial is on sale 7 days a week. This giant pizza serves up to 6 people and is at a very special price. Order at abbys.com. Give us a call or just drop by. We're family-owned Abby's, a legendary pizza tradition.
When you've been in business for 40 years, it's because you understand change and you put members first, always. Now Works is announcing a change in their membership model. Up to 6 people on one membership that you can mix and match. The more people, the bigger the discounts. Introducing the Works Shared Membership Model. One membership, friends and family and flexibility. Works, the cleanest, friendliest, most helpful gyms you and your friends will ever join.
Okay, we're back. Street Talk and other stuff. Talking with Matthew Pippin and T.J. Farrell. I'm proud to say these people are friends of mine.
Aww.
Recently went to Cuba. So how was it like getting there? I mean, back in my day, the only way you could get to Cuba was if you hijacked the plane.
It was on a smuggler's boat.
Like when I was a kid, or a smuggler's boat. But
it's a long trip.
Well, because we're poor, And,
we took the economy seats.
Yeah, and we flew from Seattle to Phoenix to Miami, and then Miami to Santiago de Cuba, which is on the southern eastern end of the island.
Okay.
And then we got in a cab to get to Las Tunas, and they always say that all the cars there are so old.
Well, I was just going to ask you about that.
Our cab, I think, was made in 2022.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was a lot more newer cars than they let on.
Well, they're getting them out of they're not getting them from the U.S.
Oh no,
they're
not.
getting them out of Asian countries that don't have any problem shipping them cars.
But because they're not U.S., they don't talk about it.
Okay. But just all the pictures I see of Cuba, they're always showing those old, classic, well-preserved.
They do have a lot of those, and I found out I couldn't figure out how they were keeping them running.
Yeah.
Because their roads are very potholed.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if nothing else, they need new struts and shocks and everything else frequently. They're also sourcing those out of Asian countries.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All
so
right.
they're figuring it out.
So you get there, and what's the plan?
It's at least 24 hours continuous travel.
Really?
Doing it the way we did it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have this app on my phone that tells me the flight paths, and 8:30 every morning there's a direct flight from Seattle to Miami, and it just mocks me.
Okay.
Because I watch it go overhead, and I know who's on.
So, and then the trip from Santiago, which is on the sort of easternmost part of the island, it was the closest major airport to Las Tunas. It was a 5-hour cab ride from the airport to Las Tunas.
Okay.
On what is a major sort of arterial road that goes kind of around in a big loop.
Yeah.
And it was long.
Okay. All right. Prices, what is it like compared to here? I mean, for stuff like cab rides?
Incredibly inexpensive.
Yeah,
incredibly
cheap.
inexpensive.
And I know at one point, the first dinner that we had with the boys, when we got the check, I think it equaled out to
$40.
$40, so $10 each, which
Really?
is
Okay.
nothing,
Yeah, for 4
But them asking, is that okay? Like,
Really?
did we just blow everything?
Right.
And it was
And you
really good.
you can't get Cuban pesos in the U.S. You cannot go to a bank and say, I'd like to exchange some dollars for Cuban pesos.
All right.
You cannot do it at the currency exchange at an American airport.
Okay.
You can only do it in Cuba. They have a closed currency system, so you don't take any pesos in or out of Cuba.
Okay.
So and we asked in Miami, can we convert just $100 or something just to get us started? And the lady's like, no.
Oh, interesting.
So when we got there, the first thing we asked our friends was, where can we go to convert some money? And they're like, most places will take U.S. dollars.
Really?
And
Okay.
boy, did they.
Really? Oh, well, I bet they loved
the
them.
U.S.
Yeah,
dollar,
yeah.
and they gave us, comparably, if you went to a bank, you'd probably get about 20 pesos to the dollar
Right.
at that time. And if you went to a currency exchange in an airport, you might get 120 pesos per dollar.
Okay.
We were getting 300 to 340 per dollar.
Really? And where were you doing the exchange? Oh, just because
right
you
there
spent
at the,
your own
just,
money?
just
Oh, okay.
right there at the
Okay.
restaurant. We say, do you mind taking U.S. dollars? And they're like, 1 minute, and they'd go back and they'd calculate it out. And they say, if we gave you 300 or 310 pesos per dollar, it would be this much.
Wow,
and we're
cool.
like, okay, dinner for 4 for $40, including tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to meet the boys, the gentlemen. Okay, and is it possible to put up that picture of the 4 of them together? So you went to specifically to
There
meet
they
these
are. They're
guys.
so beautiful.
Okay, and these are twin brothers, right?
Yes, that's Almir to the left, to my
the stripes.
Yeah, with the striped shirt and the cap, and Aram is on the right side of the picture. Well, right side as I'm looking at it, next to Matthew.
Okay, so what was the initial?
Apparently I'm holding in gas in that picture. Everybody else looks so happy.
Well, I'm glad you're holding it in.
I guess so.
So
what was the initial meeting like?
It was initially going to be a surprise for Almir.
Really? Okay.
That
was supposed
Matthew was
to be,
there,
yeah.
and it was supposed to be a surprise for both of them that I was going to be there.
Okay.
But word got out, so they weren't surprised, but they were super happy. They came to our bed and breakfast and walked us all around their town and translated for us.
Really cool.
Do
Do they speak English?
They speak
yeah.
English beautifully.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Casa de Violetas was the place we stayed at.
Okay.
And none of the staff spoke English.
Okay.
So when we first got there, it was a little trouble because we wanted to talk with them about our reservation and make sure everything was straightened out. And I was like, okay, I'll just get on Google Translate and how do I ask them how I get on their Wi-Fi? I was like, Wi-Fi?
Well, I know the important stuff in Spanish. Donde es los baños de caballeros? And una más cerveza, por favor.
There you go.
I can't repeat what I know in Spanish on the air. But the guy that runs the place, Rudy, his mother got sick, and so he was in Italy and left his brother there.
And he's the one who spoke English.
Yeah.
Okay, all
And his brother Juan Carlos was there. Really, 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 really nice guy. No clue what he said to me the whole time. but he doesn't have to. He's in Cuba. He doesn't have to speak English, you know. And he was so sweet, and he just talked to us as he'd mill around and.
So our friends would, at least Almir would come early, stay late, and do a little translation for us, so we could, you know, clear up any missing miscommunications between us and the bed and breakfast folks.
Yeah, Almir, he was, and I got to post live for him too, which was just fantastic. And
sorry I missed that.
Well,
he really likes being naked.
It's not about that. It's about participating in art and to.
Oh yes, participating in art.
It is
very highbrow.
Very highbrow. So. And but to get to share that art, you know, because I can't draw. You know, if I try to even draw a straight line, people think I'm in San Francisco. You know, and I've always marveled at what other people can do that I can't.
Yeah.
You know,
and
he's just fantastic with his art.
Yeah, they both are.
They both are.
So what do they do? What is their? Is this artistic work? Or this
That's their side hustle.
Their side. What is their main gig during the day? What's their day job?
One of we weren't. So one of them works for like a board or an organization that oversees the union jobs.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what Aram does.
I'm not either. He's been there longer than Almir's been at the other job.
The union job.
Yeah.
So they have. I mean, they have good jobs.
Yeah.
But
okay.
To give you an example, I can't remember what we pay for renewing a passport, but it's like $260 or $280 or something like that.
Right.
It's 2,000 pesos.
Yeah.
Now do the conversion rate with the 300 pesos per dollar. It's like $7 to get a passport in Cuba.
Okay, all right.
And one of the brothers had some dental work done, and he was just getting it finished up, and it was basically capping a chipped tooth, and the whole dental procedure, 2,000 pesos, $7.
Okay, so wow. Okay.
But the jobs pay considerably less. So
than,
you know, us paying them for illustration jobs is kind of like a windfall for them,
Right.
because
Okay,
it's
good.
as much as they make in a month or something like that.
Okay.
So,
all right. So, how are the people? I mean, you've kind of already
Absolutely
alluded to
There
that.
was only one person that was terrible, and they were swearing and yelling, and they were American, which
Really?
shocker.
Yeah.
You know, they
encountered an ugly American.
Yeah.
He was staying at our bed and breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah, and because they do have the rolling blackouts,
Sure.
Scheduled blackouts, and it happened to be this one particular evening, and just the sound that he was making, just the yelling, was
And the
just
swearing,
the swearing.
and
It was
the
just
rattling the gate.
ugly.
Complaining that the power had been shut
He
off.
couldn't get
Yeah.
in. He arrived late. He couldn't get in because the gate is a security lock, and it gets released either electronically or somebody has to come out and physically release.
All
And the
right.
doorbell, the electric doorbell, didn't
Wasn't
work.
working,
So
okay, all right.
most people know, well, in that case, you just call.
Yeah.
You use your cell phone, you call. But he didn't know that, or it was
So he just
late.
let the whole block
the
know.
whole block
you know.
in English, swearing and cursing to be let in.
Okay.
And
Even when he saw us, you know, and realized, I might be disturbing somebody else, didn't even.
Yeah.
He didn't care.
No.
So
we
typical
apologized.
American.
We apologized to Juan Carlos the
It
next
was
morning.
so embarrassing. But then,
yeah, I can imagine.
but we had a lovely time. I never once felt unsafe.
Yeah.
The people there, they were just so just beautiful and
Yeah.
wonderful to us. And
Very laid back.
oh yeah, island time is a thing.
But very like if you smiled and said hello or good morning to them, their whole face would light up and they
Really?
would, they
Oh,
would
that's
say Buenos
wonderful.
dias back
Yeah.
to you, and
Cool.
very eager to sell you things once they figured out that you were an American
Well, I'll
with
bet.
some American
Yeah, I mean,
dollars.
they
And
gotta make some money.
bodega a couple doors down from our bed and breakfast always had cold bottled water, so we kind of gravitated there. And he had some ham he really wanted to sell.
Yeah.
He tried to sell this ham to me, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have any place to keep it. And Matthew finally bought it and gave it to Almir and Aram.
Well, thinking it was going to be like a handful of cold cuts or something.
Right.
It was a ham. I mean,
it was a block of
it
ham.
was a big old block of ham,
But-
and so they're probably still eating on it. You know,
The buildings are all made out of concrete.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are painted some bright and pastel colors. It's lovely to look at, and hardly anything new has been built since probably around the 40s or 50s.
Right.
And some of the infrastructure is not in great shape. Like the sidewalks can be crumbling away or have holes in them.
Okay.
In some cases, the sidewalks are that wide, and there's a utility pole
Okay.
that's that wide.
Well, I got to say thanks.
Okay,
we
that's
got time
already
to go.
there.
But I appreciate you being here.
Time went
But hey,
by.
for
we're
having us
talking
on.
other
And
stuff.
happy birthday, boys.
That's
It's their
right.
birthday on the
They're-
15th.
We will see you next